Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and the topic of this episode is very different from episodes that I usually air, and it's dedicated. It's basically dedicated to the children of Pluto in Capricorn, and the children, especially of the Pluto in the end of Capricorn, and some of them in the middle of Aquarius. So this is a Saturn day, and this is Venus hour with the ascendant ruled by Venus in 12 degrees Taurus and Venus in Capricorn in the ninth house, the midheaven in the ninth house, Pluto in Aquarius, and Saturn in the 11th house in Pisces, with Jupiter in the first house. So Moon in Scorpio applying to oppose Uranus, so we're probably going to perhaps even hit the perfected opposition as we are now. I am considering to do something on the 19th degree. So yes, I'm considering to capture this this Uranus. We'll see how it works, because we have Venus hour, then we have Mercury hour. Let's see with the ascendants. Let's see if we get this Uranus kind of still on the first house, then I might be doing that. And you know what, if we are talking about this, and since I am dedicating this episode to the children of the Pluto generation in Capricorn, that's ruled by Saturn. These are definitely Saturn's children. I'm very likely to perhaps do a little ceremony with you, and we will see where it goes as I'm beginning to do that. So you will be with me live in audio if that happens. Yes, I'm not going to begin right now. It is 18 degrees moon. We usually try to stay away from like the 18th, the 22nd, the 11th degree, according to Nicolas Stoyanovich degree theory. And you know that when I'm doing something, I am paying attention to that. Yes, Mars is on the 22nd degree. It is sextiling my natal Mars. What do I want to say about those children? And I will be switching to current planets every once in a while to see how we proceed with the ascendant and all. So what I want to say about these children? Well, these are the children of the current World War. Okay? I don't think it's a huge statement to say right now. I've just been watching something that happens nearby. So whether you listen to the children, you know, I live in Israel, that were evacuated after the massacres of 7th of October, and you feel how adult they are, or you watch the children of Gaza kind of having to take care of their own siblings, so children having to parent children. And you know, even outside of war, I know this also from some people that have a lot of Capricorn placements are also a little bit of having that even in times of peace. Okay, if you're not the first generation, you're a second generation, you're a third generation, and your family is affected by it. So the theme of children having to take care, having to parent other children, even if they do have their parents alive or present, is something that I know from Capricorn people. Okay, this is why the moon in Capricorn is in detriment, because the moon is about you being taken care of. It's a mothering aspect. Okay, you grow into mothering when you grow up, but it's usually when you're a child, it's where you've been taken care of. And Saturn children are the caregivers. Okay, And I believe this extends to Saturn in Aquarius as well, to a certain degree, okay? The thing is that the old tree is dying, okay? What we were raised by is changing. The world is changing, especially with Pluto and Saturn sign. The world is literally changing. And we have a lot of support for that. We have a lot of um, we have a lot that fits the times that we are going through. Okay, so whether it is magic, or astrology, or holistic medicine, or channeling, or a sense of community, or the breakthroughs that we make as human beings, yes. That being said, this is still changing times and challenging times. And so for these children, having this Pluto Capricorn and being born to with a timestamp that you are in your own way a part of a changing world. As Mercury is applying to conjunct Pluto and Aquarius here, Mercury is also children. And so these children were not given a childhood. They were not given a childhood. And you see that the world is changing, and so the childhood that they would have been given perhaps in other times in history is not present, because they would have been grown to things that are going to be outdated. And with Pluto is politics, but it's also cellular generation. It's also scientific revolution in Aquarius. It's the state, the nationality that you've been growing into. It's all of those things. And so before the October War, actually, one being that I was accompanied by had to do with the children of 73. And the children of 73, okay, yes, the 73 war, which is the oil crisis, okay? That was the oil crisis where Iran provided oil for Israel, but not for the West. It was following the embargo, almost a decade before that. And the children of that era were growing into certain times where they knew that the 7th or the 6th of October was coming, but they didn't know how to say it, and they didn't know. And of course, when you're so isolated, there's also anger, and people don't see your experience, and they don't understand what you're going through. And the existential gap is so huge. So these children are now going to another energy crisis. Okay, we have managed to have solar energy very widespread. Morocco survived the Arab Spring because of this, or in the right of this. If I go around the Negev area, I already see solar fields. So a lot of the wealth of oil and gas is slowly but surely losing its fortune to the sun. Okay, I'm talking about 300-year cycle. I'm not talking about, or at least 150-year cycle. I'm not talking about, today or tomorrow. There are also other forms of energy. There are scientists that died unexpectedly after they developed various forms of energy. So if you take scientists that lived, like Albert Einstein, that took the potency of nuclear energy. In the age of Pluto's sextile Neptune, nuclear energy is, yes, this is a children's story. These are Saturn's children. They need to know what's up. And Pluto sextile Neptune, nuclear energy, it leaks. Okay, so whether you want to light a city or to bomb it, the energy leaks. Have no mistakes. All the children that you see and that you don't see. Okay, of course, I live in Israel. I can only be shown by the algorithm very quickly in high probability. Children from like the people in Israel that were evacuated, or children in Gaza that were no longer in Gaza, right? That were evacuated and now having to take care. Um, and even when they need food or something like that, and they're being sent weapon to people that have various loyalties. Okay, yes, I don't question that Sinwar was born in a refugee camp. Um, that being said, as you rise, and Pluto Capricorn is also about rising up the ladder. So as you rise up the ladder, some people can tend to forget what was before that. And it's not necessarily that they are evil, it's just that they tend to forget. And what you have to do to climb up the ladder, as these children are probably very well aware of how to get food in a place where nobody can send you food. Even if people want to send you food, it will not reach you and it will not be food. So having to contend with that are many things that you have to do that are very survivalistic. Not unlike the Holocaust, right? Or the children of the Holocaust. They had to flee and so on and so forth. And what another thing that happened after the Second World War was going from the currency of gold to what we call fiat money, which basically is untying. It allows you to print money, paper money. And when you can print paper money, the good thing about it is that you can print money, right? You can print money. And if you can buy with this money, then you can play. You already have an engineering system that you can do. But as with any technology, we said that nuclear energy leaks, but the technology of fiat currency was not devoid of the questions of power. And this is Pluto Saturn. Okay, it's the power of the structure or the infrastructure. Okay, for example, if we take what people call Hamas, it's very interesting because we have Hamas. They are basically the opposition of the PLO, and they are fighting supposedly for Palestine with the flag of the PLO. Okay, so other than satirical or funny or ironic, is also another question. If I think about, let's say, the country that I live in, okay, if we want water, if we want energy, if we want medicine, then this is funded. It's not funded by the citizens. It's funded by, first of all, it's a corporation. Okay, it's a structure. The corporation of the water, the corporation of electricity, the corporation of this, the corporation of that. And those corporations are being funded. And so to be elected, let's say, to work in a public service where you have a safe job and so on and so forth, you need to be elected by someone. And the people who choose who will be and who will not, they are connected to the plate. They are decision makers. They are the ones that have all these things. And so even if we, let's say, have another country, okay, let's say I'm speaking locally because I sit in Israel. Let's say we have a Palestine country, okay? It needs infrastructure, it needs water, it needs this, it needs that. That was also part of the problem for the Palestinian authorities because they were dependent in energy on supposedly Israel. But what is Israel, okay? And so we're running into the very same thing. Those children that are born at this time are born to the implication of those systems. The implication of the way the world is run now. Okay, without passing judgment, we all need energy. We all need water. We all need medicine. okay? Without passing judgment, because all the most horrible things that we see, and these children are now going to something like the Holocaust. And I don't mean, perhaps Second World War is more, describes this better, because concentration camps, they are everywhere, even right now in the United States, for homeless American veterans. If they're not homeless enough, they don't get help. If they do get help, they can get sent to concentration camp. And this is, of course, that camp. You don't come out alive after the situation. And such hard work. These children, they feel it, okay? They have to take care of babies, but they don't know how to make the baby sleep, when to make the baby sleep, what to feed them, how to get food, how to prepare it. And they have to deal with, parents, grown up adults that chose willingly, consensually to bring a child to the world. They wake up into a bunch of things that nothing could prepare them to them. So children. And so the more we can share of the information, of the implication of what's going on, because surely these children will grow and want to have a structure that supports children. It's very likely, okay? But they didn't have a childhood. So it's very difficult to support children when you didn't have a child. We don't even know what the child needs, because you never seen that around you. All the children were evacuated, they were all at war. Or if you've seen something like that, it was very, like I see, and I'm totally pro, when you talk about transgender, I'm totally pro the accessibility of gender affirming surgeries for the people who need them. But when you see like children having puberty block stuff, I'm like, okay, this is not medicine. This is not in favor of the child. And it's also not okay that the person has to rely on their identity, okay, whether it's gender, whether it's whatever, that their identity is dependent on, or to be validated, is dependent on medicine. Okay, I've been through this in my own life, not in terms of gender affirming surgeries, but in terms of I do not have validation to be who I am outside of a medical diagnosis. And so people are vying for medical diagnosis, which of course depends in pills. And if the pills don't make you feel good, like what happened to me and to even chemists that I met in person, was that those pills were never designed to make you feel good. And so they're designed to block you from being, basically. And in those situations, you say, yes, I agree to take the diagnosis, but I see that what you offer for me is not medicine. And so putting these children into the situation where, perhaps you are the child listening to this, if so, I want you to know identity is not in any way dependent on any medical person, and even any judge. Okay, it's not because of immorality. It is because it's a time and a situation where you will be taught by people that you have to adhere to certain something, or that you're being a good person or a good citizen or whatnot is dependent on certain activities that you will grow and understand that were inhumane. Cutting off supply, cutting off water. If you are the children that grow to this and somehow listen to this, maybe later in life, cutting off supplies, cutting off water to children. Yes. And I'm saying this actually without judgment, because I understand that this is something nobody wakes up today, oh, I will cut all the supply from children, I will not have them having any water or food or identity or shelter, without adhering to whatever my control tactic. Okay, people don't wake up and think that. There's a process to be made where these things happen. And when we want to find the points of interferences, so we think about resources, we think about situations of survival, and we think about inclusivity as well. Okay, Mars right now is applying to square Aries in Aries, and Aries is all about inclusivity. She represents what happens when a person is not included within a group. Okay, this is where we get all the trafficking from, because when a person is not included within the group, eventually, first of all, they can go through a process of trying to blame themselves, and then they will try to get included, okay? Like saying, oh, it's probably because I have, I don't know, this and that ailment, and so on and so. Acknowledging that is kind of like my way back into society. But this is not always the case. Sometimes you really are not included because of some sort of corruption, and because this division serves somebody. Because if you are excluded, people who are excluded from society are more liable to commit crimes. And so if somebody wants to keep their oils or to keep their gas or to keep their funding, and before you say, oh, this is an evil person, not necessarily. If you take Qatar or Kuwait, citizens of Kuwait or Qatar have housing free by the government. Every couple that marries gets a house, and it's a beautiful house, it's a big house. Okay, so they do this to provide for their citizens, but they're doing this and they're not shying away from enslaving other groups of people. Okay, so in order to enslave someone, they really need to be both, not only in a situation when you see, or if you are a child listening to this, you see even children, okay, they don't have parents. Even them are not are so quick to take any offer, right? Because you have children to take care of. And so a person really needs to be very excluded. So creating this division and making everybody feel uninvited is very useful to create slaves, okay? Because you give a sense of belonging through committing atrocities. And the person also feels like it's vengeance or it's right vengeance and so on and so forth. And so while having a conflict, having a disagreement is actually an essential part of having a discourse. Not disagreement for the sake of disagreement, it's a part of the I am. It's a part of saying, no, I have my own values, I have my own feelings, I have my own mind around this, and maybe I am right, maybe I am wrong, but I'm not more or less good than your mind about this, especially at this time of Pluto Capricorn. The old trees are regenerated. Our ancestors, yes, they can help us, but there are also things that they don't know. Because if we do it the same way we did it before, we're going to get to the same places we got. You know, in Pluto, at this point, at the right opposition, there were two A bombs dropping on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, destroying completely whole cities. Whole cities, destroying whole cities. Not a couple of bombs like you see in Gaza, okay? But one bomb, poof, all the city. And now the United States and other countries are creating a new version of these things. But also, if you were growing in Israel at the 7th of October, the things that you would see done by people to people, okay? Not even the laser, not even the burnings, not just by people to people, the atrocities that you would see, the torture, all these things, then you would say, oh, maybe a bomb is actually more humane, because if you are within the range, you just poof out. So we don't want to go there. Not just now, but also in 7 generations, when Pluto is going to be opposing the point where it is today. Okay? And so what are our available points of interferences? Aries, that has been 100 years in Aries, tells us, hey, what about inclusivity? What about the fact my identity and the validation to be who I am is not supposed to be dependent on the jury, the state, the family, even, or the lack of family, the clan, the tribe, the medicine person, the wealth person? Okay, what about understanding there is value to autonomy and sovereignty, and this is beyond the flag. This is the individual. Okay, this isn't the individual. It is also valid to community, of course. Everything else, if you're not included, okay, then you're more prone to commit tremendous atrocities because you have no food, you have no water, but also you have no hug, you have no connection, you have nobody to take care that takes care of you. Okay, you're deprived not only physically but also emotionally. Um, and this is where the recruitments, okay, a person like Sinuar is very, I haven't seen his chart completely, I haven't seen everything in it, but or a person like Adolf Hitler, although he had a mother and even had a Jewish doctor that took care of his mother, and he had a father, he had loving family, um, but he felt included in a different way. Aries was in Pisces then, and he felt not included in the myth of the motherland, and he wanted to fight for the motherland, and he wanted to be a part of the war, and he was a warrior. And later he was homeless, and he wanted to do something meaningful with it. Let's try to learn art and then maybe architecture, and it didn't work so well, and life led him to be what we know as Adolf Hitler. But Adolf Hitler was not so strange in the view. He was affected by Churchill. Churchill was doing very much the same thing, but not to Jewish population. And how is this a children's story? Because it's important for you to understand what is the background, what is happening right now, because you're going to be provided with a lot of stories, you're going to be provided with a lot of things that are not the thing in itself, and and a lot of people are going to try to recruit you, to starve you and recruit you, to make of you a Hitler, to make of you a dictator, to make of you a person, and this is something that awareness is important, because if right now and we have to ask ourselves of solar energy, because normally people who try to come up with a different sort of energy, okay, if they find gas in Jerusalem and oil in Mecca, the world would be Christian, unless they find something also in the Vatican, and then who knows, maybe another religion will come up. This is also something to remember, okay? And so if we come with another form of energy, like solar energy, it has its problems, but we see that it's taken lead. But usually when people develop another type of energy, except for Einstein when he was talking about nuclear energy, and that allowed for Iran to say, "Oh, we're using nuclear energy for good. You can power a city, or you can create a bomb. The essential principles are the same, and of course with the engineering, of course it is different in application. But unless your energy can also be used to bomb a city or to kill people or to supposedly control people, is very difficult. You're gonna get murdered. And the people who wanted, like Tesla, but way more people who wanted energy to be free, the various forms of energy, and from everything you can have energy, whether it's sound waves in general. Right now with Pluto and Aquarius, waves are going to be providing energy. You have to understand which waves. So it's not, the question is not how do I make it, but which one do I choose that is more compatible? Because, for example, the waves that we have even in this cell phone is less compatible with our health. We can create diseases on a cellular level, which is Pluto, okay, cellular, and like cancer, but not only cancer, it's also nervous system, which is more with Pluto in Aquarius. So we're going to be exploring waves, but there are also going to be difficulties to match that to our nervous system. And unfortunately, we see that unless your energy provides a warfare and control and patent and division, and you see if you are this child and somehow run into this, you see what the result of this. Okay, so you see why it's not wrong also to, it's not it's not right also to do this. Okay, because this is what it creates. So and this is not about judgment. Okay, people got to do this because they had no choice. Yes, Einstein woke up and thought, if I don't do it, Hitler will do it. It's better than we will do it. For Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I don't know if it matters who drops the bomb. Okay, they're no longer with us, or they are with us, but in a different form, depending on your beliefs. And so those things, the more you know about them, and I want you to not be scared of this, because the only reason you're made aware of this is because you're attending to this, is because you're creating a point of interference. And if you hear this, is because it's meant to reach you, whether you are a child or a parent of such child, or um, anywhere around. Okay, it is very likely meant to reach you. It's very likely some sort of assistance that you are receiving, information that runs across the nervous system as it reached me um, in my life. As you can see, I did not mention here anything like flag, nationality, bloodline. With the medication that people take with plasma, they made of blood donations of people who are of various different bloodlines, and they're usually like homeless, or that's what they can afford. And sometimes they even have drug addiction, which is interfering with the blood, so the blood goes through processing to exert the plasma. So you understand, if this plasma heals you, and it's a very expensive medications, then you understand that staying in your lane, bloodline wise, is not necessarily, it is an outdated teaching. Okay, because if you want to be healthy, actually to be exposed to various cultures, to various people, um, and keep, if it's like when you come to bring children, always, my mother always told me like to do a blood test, but Israelis are not allowed to do blood tests, so to make sure we are not adjacent in the bloodline. Okay, also because you could be marrying your sister or your brother, but also um, because it is very healthy to mix. It's true. It's very healthy to mix. I'm an aromatherapist. If you work with essential oils or herbs, usually don't make one essential oil for a patient unless they are asking for this. But you mix the oils, because also when you grow agriculture, you mix the herbs, and it's a question of what mixes with what, and even that changes. Even that is an art as much as it is a medicine. My mother liked to paint, and she had a paint teacher that said, "Oh, I don't understand why can we not combine green with blue? It's the green of the grass and the blue of the sky or of the sea." And before that, people thought, no, green and blue, they don't work together. They do. So that is also important. And so the concept of providing free energy, what leads can we have for that? Because we have nature. Energy we make of nature, right? There's fire. We have to make fire to something. Okay, so it's either air or it's basically heat. Okay, It's basically if you think about the wave, then it has a frequency and it has a temperature because of this frequency. Or on a particle level, then we say, oh, the particles are moving fast, we have heat, and moving slow is colder. And that's Feynman teaching, not inventing. But when you so we have waves, and then what is it that we alchemize? Okay, it can be sound waves, it can be all types of it. Can be gravity waves. Okay, if we want to travel, let's say, to another galaxy, so the waveform of gravity, we find a way, and then we need to change because energy transforms. That allows us to change sound waves or electricity into sound waves, which is how you can listen to me right now. So this is an option. We also have waves in the sea. Now with Saturn, the ruler of Pluto being in the ocean, that's something to explore. So water and hydrogen that we exert out of water, okay, H2O, hydrogen, it's very flammable actually, but also gas and oil. And also the solar, because we transform the solar into the regular electricity currency that we have. And that's usually how we do it today. We're definitely going to be doing it differently, but when we're talking about free energy, what is free energy? Okay, we are all in concurrence with many things. If I tend to my toenail atlas foot, which is basically fungi, it's also Pluto related, and nails, Saturn, then I use essential oils. It's also the essence of a plant. It's very potent. The most potent way to use a plant is essential oils. It's kind of like very Plutonian on my nails and stuff. Then things are also co-happening outside of me. Okay? And when we are in the point of interference in that big nervous system that's called the cosmos and everything in it, then we have an effect on it. It can feel overwhelming, but it's not us against the world. We are with the world and have an effect on it, and things have effect on us. And so developing these relationships, what actually has been done, we talk about tribal societies by shamans or of all kinds, whether you go to Norse or to the Inuit or to Africa or to the Americas, probably East too, they have many ways in which to work with nature. And so energy, of course, is made more accessible. This is what I believe in. So this is a point of interference. Okay, it's also important to understand that the person that these people that are trying to that spare the children, okay, that you and I are kind of like dispensable children to them. They try to make longevity. Okay, they do a lot of crazy shit. It's like a crazy scientist, but they probably have been excluded in some way that they don't no longer see or connect with that which they work with. And this can be applied to our food even, okay? When we grow our tomatoes, we're connected with them and we are nourished by them. We need less food when we, of course, if we have healthy soil and stuff like that, to be nourished, okay? And when we don't have these connections, both we have what the Christians call gluttony, but it's not gluttony, it's just that you don't have connection, so you try to compensate on that. Or if your water is polluted, your food is polluted. And so this is true to all of us. And so it's true to the people higher up the rank, it's true to the people lower up the rank. Okay, the many people are higher up the rank, but they don't know that they're wearing these pointed shoes that shoes, okay, they used to be a sign of class. And so if you weren't a slave, then you had these pointed shoes to show that you don't work very much. But then what happens, they didn't know that our feet, our toes, were they not aligned well, we're not thinking well, we're not hearing well, we're not connecting well. And so they created themselves, instead of wealth, they created themselves another level of poverty. That those and they had to be enriched by the blood of those slaves for what we treat plasma, usually for nervous system related issues. So you see that this too much of a disconnection, and we all are, we all are happening dealing with this. Eventually, you have to be nourished by the same thing that you disconnected from. So this is yes, it's true to all of us. So and it's not like about, oh, karma, treat people nicely and so on and so forth. Yes, and well, we all have blind spots, and we all have kind of those things. Sometimes you're overwhelmed and so on. So when we deal with the actual essence of things, we are less likely to be duped by a flag, loyalty that is to someone who eventually cannot make sure that we will live eventually, or even are not putting that higher up the rank, the value. To stories that we hear, because we hear a lot of stories, yes. But also we understand that there are points of interferences. A person usually cannot do, because Saturn, it means making sure that there is an expiration date to stupidity. Okay, and this is what we call karma. It's not about blaming a person. It's not about, oh, you will get your karma for this, and it's not, especially in Pisces, it's not the way to use Saturn. Well, we all can tend to do this, but it's not the way to use Saturn. It's more about, if you're engineering something, then you want the car to be, let's say it's a car or a plane, you want people to be able to fly in it, okay? So if you have intended to that, then they might crash and die. So that is another thing to think about, is that there are points of interferences, and the poverty that is experienced in the world is experienced in different ways across the world. Okay, there are people that can feel you that you don't even imagine. You think, oh, they're privileged, they're this, they're that. You don't know what happens to them when they go to sleep, or what experiences do they go through, and they try to figure, where is it coming from? Is it my past life? Is it my this life? Where is it coming from? And so they sense it. And also you have wealth that other people don't have, okay? So you are growing into a certain point of view that other people don't have, and you're seeing things that other people don't have. Okay, for example, if you are up until a couple of weeks ago, if you're, I don't know, a European person saying, oh, I will allocate some of my income to support UNRWA, and then you find out that UNRWA were, using this money for a weapon rather than to provide food, and so now they're trying to kind of like exploit everybody and say, oh, we need this for food, we need this for food. Yes, but they were not providing food, and they were also not providing liberation. Okay, so um, if you are the child that now needs this support, and see that they're not giving you your tomatoes, they're not giving you the milk for like your baby brother that you have to carry with you, they're not, then you understand also the things that people who think, oh well, I will tend to that, I will tend to this NGO, that NGO, okay, non-governmental assistance. It sounds good, it sounds nice, but usually it is one pocket going from one money going, wealth going from one pocket to the other pocket of the same pants, um, at the expense of human lives. This is what's happening right now. And if you ask, why do these people do this? Well, basically, they have been experiencing this in their life, and they have become so cut off from humanity that this is food for them. Okay, they will do what they need to do to have food. They take care of themselves, basically. They don't know other ways to take care of themselves. So connecting with the nature around us can be such other way, but they don't believe that somebody would take care of them. Okay, they don't believe that they will have community around it, so they try to care for themselves. And so you are also at the risk to being in this situation now, because you're like, no, nobody will take care of me, I have to do it all by myself, and later it's very difficult to form connection out of nothing. I hope in some way this video serves as an antidote or a point of interference to some of that. There are still things that we do ourselves, and sometimes shouldn't have been left for us to do all by ourselves. And there are also changes happening to that as well. Okay, how much autonomy, how much connection is something people dealt with even when they had all the food on their tables and no war, and and even the job was kind of like 9 to 5, annoying but not horrid. So people still wonder, do I want to be more autonomous, or do I want to have more connection? Okay, they still wondered about this, they struggled with themselves. So yeah, so I was going to say something more about this. Oh, but I lost my train of thought. So that might be for another one or another video. One thing you have to remember: energy. You have to heat yourself or something like this. So you can make something out of fire, of course. But I want you to explore the topic of sound waves. Sound waves, basically. How you capture them, because you can set your mind. If you set your mind, here's something I learned actually from Einstein. If you set your mind to a bigger problem in the world, and yes, but he was sleeping a lot. That's probably something you don't have. If you set your mind to a bigger problem in the world, then the little problems in the world become the receiver proportion. So it is something that helped me when I was in between homes, but I was in no way in your dangerous situation, if that's you listening to this. Yeah. So anyway, I said I will check. The moon is 2 seconds, 2 astrological seconds away from perfecting the exact opposition. But the exact opposition is going to be with Uranus in the 12th house. It is already Mercury hour. Meet heaven in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn. I might get one. Oh, I might get one in the... Oh, the lunar hour is coming soon. But I think it won't last for all the ascendants. So I will have this Uranus in the 12th house. And now it's in the 1st. I don't know what to say. Usually I don't work with one like on this malefic degree. It's a degree of poison, so I'm not sure, I can't do anything with it. The moon is actually not in a good position. It's fall in Scorpio, but we're using it to capture Uranus. Although it would be better to capture Uranus from the end of Capricorn, but then we would run into a square with Aries, which you can't see here. So yes, and we had ascendant going over Algol as we were speaking. So that is another thing for another episode. Thank you for watching.